the Hunt Mega Edition, the most recent Roblox event. It was an alright event. Although I think Roblox found the perfect balance between the amount of games and the badges per game, which is now 25 games, 2 badges each, the way they executed the Mega Tokens was treacherous. You see, if you didn't play the event, each game had 2 badges, a normal token and a Mega Token. The normal token is how any event would go. You can collect any of them at any time. They were the easy to get tokens as well, so they didn't compose too many grand hits. However, the Mega Tokens are different. This is where the quality collectibles come in. Many of the games such as Untitled Tag Game, Regretivator, Natural Disaster, Survival, you can tell that the developers of said game spent all their time on the Mega Token. These are more of the hard to get but more quality tokens. My main issue with this event came from the Mega Tokens. You see, these tokens had to be collected in order, so if you wanted to get a Mega Token for a specific game, for example, Fish, since it was the 25th Mega Token to be collected, you had to do all of the other Mega Tokens. Unfortunately, some of these Mega Tokens were either really buggy or hard to do, so many people quit after being soft-locked when they faced an impossible barricade. These hard to do and buggy badges just ruined the event for me, even though there were many great games that did their job way better. Let's get to the rankings so you see why I just like this event so much. Also, I will be ranking every normal Mega Token from each game separately, as well as the Haunt Mega Edition Hobby Badge, which I will be ranking based mainly on the puzzles. This will be based on my personal experiences, so it will probably be different from yours, so don't take it personally. Also, roast my bad rankings in the comments. Also, don't blame any of the developers here. They're just trying to make a game, you know? This makes a total of 51 badges to rank. With that, on to number 51. Oh yeah, by the way, my recording's bugged, so there's no noise. This was hands down the buggiest and most luck-based token in this Roblox event. Hence, it might be even worse than Driving Emperor from the Classic, which I personally think is the worst badge cluster to have participated in a modern Roblox event. This is like gambling at a casino, but the chances of winning are worse than winning the lottery. In order to get this badge, you need to collect some goggles that are located on the map. Then, the enemy team will have letters rotating around them. You have to attack them accordingly to spell out Mega Hunt. That sounds easy, right? Well, you're wrong. Here are some cool modifiers that make this 10 million times harder. First, you have to do this all in 5 rounds. 5 rounds to get 8 letters in order. Also, if you mess up even 1 letter, you have to restart the entire thing. Lastly, if someone gets the badge, then everyone gets bugged and no one else can get it. So you have to be the first one in the server to get it, somehow. This is the tip of the iceberg of the painstaking journey to this badge. Hey, not only that, but the letters that you see can mean any letter of the alphabet, even the ones that don't relate to your task. Somehow, Mr. Steve won the lottery and got the Mega Token. This event was so bad that developers had to close down the Discord server because it was being absolutely raided by haters of the event. Thankfully, after millions of hateful comments on how this needed to be nerfed, the developers finally nerfed the entire thing to make it a piece of cake. Still, I played pre-nerf, which means I went through all the torture speedrunners did. I only completed post-nerf though. This was hands down the most cruel token in the Roblox event, besides Infection Gunfight, of course. This badge hands down killed 99.9% of the participants to even get a shot at the $1 million. First, you had to complete a raid at your highest level and get this clover key. That's fairly normal. Then you had to go to this random house in the raid and type knock knock. This was a reference to a previous event where you do the same thing, but it was still very random. Afterwards, you have to click the random relic pieces in order to spell out Gunter. Also, there's no indication of this at all, so you have to randomly click these relic pieces, hoping you get this right. Afterwards, you go back into a random house to randomly find a pot of gold there. Then it says you're not lucky enough. Therefore, you have to randomly click all the clovers in the raid. Afterwards, you have to go back to the random house and randomly click the pot of gold to get the Mega Token. That's a lot of randomness right there. Although I think there were some really random Mega Tokens in this event, they at least had some pretty cool aspects at the end. This, however, was just a series of random events to get the randomly defined Mega Token. Nah, bro, don't call this a Mega Token, call this a random token. Another fairly random lazy game. This time they actually put no effort into this token. You just go up to golden cameras, a certain avatar is equipped with the golden camera hinting towards where the next one is at, until you eventually get the Mega Token. Although the hints to which avatar items you had to wear were sort of clever, let's just say I used a guide, so I completely ignored the hints. After a while, it got really repetitive and boring. The best part of the event was probably how funny it looks when you have all the avatar items on. As you can see the pattern here of the do some random things for the Mega Token games claiming the lowest spots of this event. Speaking of which, your Metro Life is no different. First you have 3 people by spawning in items to help with their issue. I mean, they sorta guide you with the first section, but without a guide, I would have been clueless on what to do. Then you had to find 4 numbers around the map where it shows you the general area of it. Once you find all 4 numbers, you have to go to the middle of all 4 code number locations and dig up the vault with a shovel. Typing the code allows you to earn the Mega Token. This felt more like a chore to find a lost belonging, which is basically annoying, rather than a real Mega Token. Alas, after 4 Mega Tokens, we see a normal token. Although normal tokens are easy to do, they aren't absolutely torturous. For this token, you just play the game and do 2 rounds as well as get a certain amount of stars. That's it. I just had my little sister, Willow, you know if you're an OG, do it, so I didn't really do this. That's because she's addicted to dress-up games and I'm not, to say the least. The only reason I didn't like this was basically because I didn't favor these types of games. Clip it normal token. Same thing as the It Girl normal token, except you have to actually make a video yourself. This makes it feel like they put a tiny bit more effort into the normal token than It Girl, which is why it's above It Girl. However, the fact that I have to get my mind slowly corrupted in these shorts kind of brings it down. Same thing as the last 2, except this game's a tiny bit better because it has guns, and I like gun games better than dress up in Roblox shorts games. This time you have to earn 200 score. It's a really simple task, but it gets really repetitive and boring easily due to the lackluster gameplay. This Mega Token took us over an hour to do, which was at least double the time of a normal speedrun of this obby. There were quite a few roadblocks that took us a couple of minutes. And then there's the final stage. That took us over 20 minutes to do, and we were knocking on death's door when we actually made it through. As you can see, our performance of this obby kind of affected its placement a bit, just a bit. If it had been at least a little easier, like a difficulty between pre-nerf and post-nerf, I think it would have been much higher. This is probably a skill issue though. The next day are basically tokens that you can just play the game to get the tokens, so I'm just gonna speedrun these ones. Hell's Kitchen and Natural Disaster Survival took the most time, which is why they are the bottom 2 of the 8 play of the game tokens. Blade League and Rivals took an alright amount of time. Pet Sim 99 Fish took a short amount of time, and Untitled Tag Game and Regenerator are my 2 favorites of the bunch. So yeah, that's how the play the games badges go. In order to get this badge, you have to first talk to this noob who just stuck on the Doomed Island. Afterwards, you have to get 4 specific map and get the natural disaster based on the noob's hit. It took me a while to realize this as I was watching a guide, which posed a key difference for me. Since the guide was on a private server, the correct disaster recorded for him. However, I was in a public server. This meant that the disaster wasn't the same as the noob's hit. This made the event a tad bit pay to win. This confusion was kind of frustrating, mostly as I had to wait more than a couple maps to get the map I needed in order to get the token, which is why this is really low in the light ranking. In order to obtain this badge, you need to replicate a pattern that is visible in a roof in the main game to 16 computers in the basement. Yeah, it's just some random software that just popped in the lobby. Anyways, afterwards you find 4 recipe pieces located in pretty visible spots, 1 in the lobby and 3 in the main game. Going back to the basement with all 4 recipe pieces awards you the Mega Token. Although the Mega Token didn't have anything extraordinary about it except for the strange figure which somehow connects to the lore of this game, it didn't do anything too bad. For this badge, you take pictures of landmarks around the map. That's it. It was a short and simple task. It wasn't outstanding or anything though. Better than just playing the game to get the badge, however. I don't know how you would play the game though. In order to earn this badge, you need to play on 4 random maps to get a code. This part was pretty tedious without a friend or all. Luckily I had my boy Steve, and playing through 8 matches to find a code was annoying. Then in the lobby you enter this passcode on a pad. After winning a cheesable boss fight, you get the Mega Token. It was alright, and the boss was anticlimactic, being really easy to beat, much easier than the first half of the hidden quest. In order to get this badge, you first need to shoot 2 X targets in the shooting range. This part was really time consuming and annoying, spending minutes after minutes trying to find a slightly different target. The fact that there were hundreds of shooting targets made this 100 times harder. Then you talk to the shady chicken who gives you a question mark quest. Very useful. Took me a couple duels to finally understand what the quest is. This quest in particular is to collect scrolls from dead enemy bodies in 3v3, 15 to be exact. Lastly, after talking to the chicken again, you have to fight a boss fight to get the Mega Token. This boss fight, unlike the Blade Ball boss, was unfair and hard, having 8 weapons rather than the usual 4, and having like 10 times the hit points. Especially the bullet ball used, the 70 damage sniper as well as the katana to deflect your shots. Luckily I played rifles a little bit, so I was able to beat the other boss and get the badge. For this quest, you do a quest line with a lot of tasks. The racist derby that we had to do in the beginning kind of dragged as it took a while to get that task done. Especially you climb this volcano by driving on a trail adjacent to the mountain, which takes forever to drive up. Also, I find it funny that I fell off once when I zoned off for like 2 seconds near the top of the volcano and I had to climb up top again. Lastly, you have to do a stunt jump that only did second try. I don't know why it was kind of hard to hit, maybe because I wasn't able to go in a straight line to do the stunt. That would have felt nice. Thankfully it respawned you on the volcano, otherwise I would have put this token way lower. 4 obbies as a car. Although this was short, this was surprisingly pretty challenging. It was a bit frustrating, but it was really creative and interesting how the developers made situations throughout the obbies where you had to control your speed in order to get to the next checkpoint. This time, instead of a visible questline, it's a hidden questline, but you don't know what to do. Alright, to be more specific, you have to go to the OG destruction facility and find this hidden door that opens by itself. Afterwards, you have to collect the red key after finishing a derby. Then, you go down this random pit in the normal map and click this green button. The first time my car got stuck and I dropped down, and I guess I need the car to also drop down since I was unable to click it. Afterwards, crush your car 10 times, 1 for each crushing method. Go back to the vault and the Mega Token is yours. Nonetheless, I enjoyed the Mega Token more than a normal token, as there was no dragging part of this quest. Also, crushing my car 10 times was kind of fun, better than driving up a volcano for 3 minutes straight. Drive Road's Mega Token's hardest and most tedious part is only in the beginning. Just roll a ball across the map, which is very big with your car. The ball had some crazy physics and it was funny but frustrating seeing it roll straight into the ocean. Thankfully the ocean doesn't mean restart, otherwise this would have been absolute torture. After rolling the ball across the map, you have to find 4 UFOs across the map that you can thankfully teleport to, and get a code from them. Then you go back to and enter the code to get the Mega Token. This token was somehow fairly forgiving, although the ball's physics mainly highlighted as well as brought down this token. Talk to this NPC near the lighthouse, go to the back of Terrapin Island, solve a creative puzzle, do a maze, solve another puzzle with fish, and go back and talk to the NPC. I enjoyed the creative puzzles they put here, especially the one involving putting the music fish in order. For this puzzle, you have to traverse the obby on the right and memorize 8 notes in order. Then you have to use Flimsy Rod. Wait, Flimsy Rod? I can use my hard-earned Heaven's Rod I spent hours upon hours on? Yeah, I don't know why I decided to do that, but oh well. Anyways, you have to fish I think 8 times with the Flimsy Rod to get 8 music fish. Each of these music fish have different sounds and resemble one of the 8 notes that you have to memorize. That Cthulhu sang in a specific order. Put these in the right order and the vault will open. Mess up even once, which is fair, you get the Darken mutation and get cursed. Thankfully, it doesn't affect your performance of the Mega Token. I have somehow messed up on the first fish that input. So smart. But the punishment was more funny than that. In order to earn this token, you have to find 3 gems, do this interesting puzzle, and fight a boss. The 3 gems were placed in a clever spot and spread apart throughout the map. The puzzle is pretty clever, and with the passcode being the sum of 2 of the same color numbers in 3 sets, and the icon showing the order in which the numbers should go. The boss fight was easy as well, especially since you have 3 lives. I only died once during my battle, and the only safe spot of the insta-kill attack was across the map, a spot I couldn't access in the limited amount of time I had. This consists of a dungeon that you can play for friends. That's the main reason I put this over the Mega Token, because playing with friends is a lot more fun than playing by myself. Otherwise, the dungeon is pretty standard and the boss fight at the end was really easy. The first Mega Token that you collect, and honestly I think the developers did a fantastic job at it. It showcases how things somehow coordinate with one another, like how the treasure map contributes to the trading of the pirate ship, which I thought was a clever connection. Without a guide, I would have not guessed that, mainly because I don't play this game. Speaking of which, this Mega Token also showcases that you need to have not only a lot of game knowledge in general, such as with the riddle right before you get the Mega Token, but also knowledge about the game itself. The knowledge about the game itself is really present in some of the other games, and not in a necessarily good way. However, as I have mentioned before, this game uses it in a clever and well-made way. Therefore, I think SpongeBob Tower Defense did a good job at being the first to have a Mega Token. Alright, now onto the gameplay of this token. First, in the Hunt game, there are dig sites around the map. One of them hides a treasure map. You take the treasure map to the trading house. You find a key in the subfloor of the ship. Quickly go into a maze after. Then you go upstairs to activate a tower defense. This required a beta strategy, which I personally enjoyed. After beating the tower defense, you go back to the Hunt game and go into this cave. After you solve the riddle by doing E-dance on the stone to get the Mega Token. Overall, the complexity of this token served a good showcase of how the rest of the Mega Tokens will be like. Just like what Tower Defense Simulator did in past events, SpongeBob Tower Defense made a separate trial in order to get this token. Not only that, but it gives you a set loadout. Sadly, it didn't bring out any new enemies to add to the SpongeBob lore, so it didn't feel like it was something absolutely new. However, they did a good job. This token was either pretty easy, such as my experience, or really hard, such as Steve's experience. It all depended on the first step. The step in particular was to find a brown hexagon around the map. Since it's different for everyone, it can basically be anywhere. Therefore, if you just find it after 2 minutes of scavenging, it should be fine. However, my boy Steve took like 30 to 40 minutes just to find it, and he threatened to quit, which was quite understandable. Afterwards, you do this minigame where you open up the how to get the normal badge, and you do a memorization game. Once you complete the game, you go into a cave to pick up a purple egg and feed it to the noob. Once you feed it to the noob, you get teleported, and you have to climb the mountain where the Mega Token resides. Here's the catch, there's purple eggs just like the one you fed to the noob, destroying the land beneath you. Overall, highly luck-based token, but still fairly intriguing the entire week through. They made an entire world just for this token. I appreciate it considering all their efforts are only for the normal token. Most games just forgot about the normal token, which is understandable, and spend all of their time on the Mega Token. In this world, you have to feed enough food to the noob to gain 1,000 points in order to get the badge. I liked how having experience in this game helps the process of gaining points as bigger food. Only carryable by people of bigger size, gives you more points when fed to the noob. However, one key issues I have with this token are the sabotagers. I understand that the developers can't do anything about it, but the people who kill other people for fun is just outrageous. I can't do anything about it as I'm too small most of the time. This Mega Token is similar to what Dresser and Press did in the past events. They added an entire story mode for this token, and it was cool finding items and finding out what to do next. I don't think you can die in a boss fight though, even if you wanted to, as the attacks do like nothing. The minigames that occur after depleting 25% of the Cortex HP feel out of place, and I think it should have just been done after the boss died. In order to find his token, you first need to pull a lever in the Hall of Fame building in the park placed in the game. Then, 3 shapes combined with numbers spawn. Back at the practice shooting range, there are those 3 same shapes, a circle, a triangle, and a square. Depending on the number, you shoot on it first, second, or third. After doing this correctly, you go into a 1v1 with an AI. And if you have the most points, you get the Mega Token. I enjoyed the 1v1 even if it took me a few tries. Each attempt felt like a trial and error, and I felt like I was learning a lesson and making progress each time I 1v1 the basketball user. The perfect throws really satisfied me, and once I learned the strategy of this 1v1, I just took the basketball that was right in front of the AI and absolutely crushed them. Similar to the Mega Token, you go against one AI. However, in this case, instead of a 1v1, it's a 4v1. Much like the World Zero Mo normal token, playing and crushing the AI with friends made it feel a lot more like basketball. Passing the basketball and shooting great shots right after being passed that. The 1v1 was more of who can shoot better, which is why this was on top. This Mega Token, you first do a lot of random shenanigans. Then you play Crossy Road under pressure as the school principal is chasing you. The fact that you can get eaten alive if you're not fast enough was a funny touch to the game. Thankfully, unlike the normal token, you get checkpoints when you pick up a bomb and throw it to the school principal. He has 5 lives, which means you have to progress quite a bit in order to defeat him. Although the tasks beforehand are kind of random, the Crossy mode made up most of the flaws that this token would never have had beforehand. Crossy Road. I mean, who doesn't love Crossy Road? Although the controls were kind of buggy, this token replicated a classic, so it's gotta be top notch. You only have to go 50 studs without dying, which shouldn't be that hard to rat 8. I apparently have a skill issue, but overall, me playing Crossy Road as me was very fun. In order to get this Mega Token, you need to first find 4 blue pages throughout the floors. There are multiple locations in every floor, so you can get all 4 blue pages in about 4 floors. Afterwards, you find a floppy based on the hint from the blue pages. They were in very clever such as one being in one of the developers' heads. They need to equip all 4 of these floppies through a minigame, with the last one being a combination of 2 of the past minigames. These minigames were really interesting. After decrypting these floppies, there should be 2 numbers in each of them. This creates the code of 8 number, with floppy 1's 2 numbers going first, and floppy 2, and so on. Going to the attic by jumping on the door frame lets you find the vault, and entering the passcode gives you the Mega Token. Overall, these clever hiding spots combined with the interesting minigames combine for an enjoyable experience. And then there was the hot lobby. Although the original lobby without the Mega Tokens didn't have much to offer besides the experiences, the leaderboard advertised way too expensive fragment nude pack. That's not why this is all the way up here. The minigames that you can do after getting a certain amount of Mega Tokens was really intriguing. It made me use my brain in a way no other game in this event made me use before. Not only that, but over time, after every wave of Mega Tokens were released, the minigame that was introduced instead wave starts at expert level, which is incredibly hard. Then it scales down to hard and finally to easy. This allows people to complete puzzles based on their own level. Speedrunners most likely can figure out these puzzles the best out of anyone, which is why their skill level matches expert. Then the people who complete the badges at a more casual pace complete the Mega Token wave as it scales down to hard or easy, which is more of their difficulty. The many creative puzzles offered a short but sweet break from the wild Mega Tokens. Change created an entirely new obby climbing at Moai for this normal token. This obby highlighted what the game is like, which is a key in an event, and how it can use this aspect of being chained to good use. And it shows. I can tell they spent a lot of time on this with the creativity of the obby, as well as how long the obby was. Also, it wasn't as hard as the Mega Token, so it felt satisfying to finish it. This was basically a normal token, but the enemies were much more tanky, and we had only 3 loadouts to choose from, unlike the many that we could choose from in the normal token. This was really challenging, requiring a lot of strategy as well as good placement. The main drawback of this challenge was the fact that I could use my own loadout. I had decent towers, and I believe my loadout would have performed much better with my own loadout. Nonetheless, it was an enjoyable, well-made experience, despite taking us over an hour to do. In order to obtain this badge, you need to first go to around 230 meters in the Hunt Dusty Strip. There you find an obstacle course. There you have to make a board of the batteries. Holding it too long sends you flying, however, so you want to make sure to be cautious about that. It doesn't affect the battery, thankfully, but it did create some funny moments. After building this portal, you go to a two-phase boss. This boss, just like any other Dust Strip boss, is unique, creative, and an intriguing boss. Although the second phase was mostly the same as the first phase, but honestly a bit easier, I wasn't bored at all. You have to beat the third boss in the Hunt Dusty Trip in order to earn this badge. The bosses aren't too away from each other, and each one has its own charm with unique attack methods. I found this more interesting than the Mega Token, as this token served 3 different bosses, unlike the Mega Token which only served one two-phase boss. Although this token was easy to earn as you only had to beat the core lock event on easy mode, the fact that you were able to choose from 3 random loadouts or your own loadout was good. It made the gameplay much more versatile, and experienced players can use their best towers to their advantage. Defeating the boss felt satisfying, and overall this was a wonderful event. This Mega Token was an odd one. You turn into a hacker and have infinite stamina after successfully doing a minigame and get kicked from the game after dashing endlessly into the void. Afterwards, you traverse an obby to do the same minigame again, only with a higher goal. After obbying using your infinite stamina, you fight Void himself, which I thought was really interesting, as one of the siblings promised something to the Void. This shows a major connection in between the 2 badges, something most games in the event don't have. After defeating him, you get the Mega Token. I like how this is connected to the normal token, with this Mega Token telling you to defeat the Void, which one of the 2 siblings made a deal with in the normal token. Overall, this token gives you a journey, stepping closer and closer to meeting the Void himself and defeating him in the process. They made an entire software for the normal token. Just like the graveyard from the Haunt, Pressure decided to absolutely cook up and make an entire subfloor for this event. And it's a good one too. There are 3 entities in this subfloor: the Crooked, Rebarb, and Pipsqueak. The Crooked is an entity that you have to look at or else he'll walk towards you. Once he gets close enough, he damages you. Rebarb is the entity that you have to flash beacon in order to avoid him attacking you. Pipsqueak is the known monster in this subfloor. You only know when he's coming when the Crooked also hides in a locker. Over time, as you travel through this subfloor, you learn more about the Crooked and how he's actually a chill guy. By the end, he'll salute you when he exits the subfloor. This emotional journey with my guide, the Crooked, amplified this journey through the subfloor. However, one main issue I had with this floor was its sheer difficulty, not because of the 3 other entities, but because of the Void. There is this one room stereotype where there's just a void bit behind the door, and since I'm staring back at the Crooked, I fall into the pit and I end up dying. I did this like 3 or 4 times, and on the successful attempt, I got lucky for Barb and or Pipsqueak spawning in this specific room, allowing me to look over and see the dangerous pit in this room. If this room stereotype hadn't been in this subfloor, I would have scored this higher than it already is. In order to get this badge, you need to win in a boxing match against 2 people who stole the normal token. That in itself is a very interesting story, with the main protagonist having the token stolen from him. You fight a boxing match 1 by 1, so you have to successfully win both matches before you can obtain the badge. Honestly, this token is only so high up because it felt awfully satisfying doing these crazy combos despite only playing for the first time. Yes, I skipped it during the game because of this event had really bad timing and I could only do some of them. Both you and your enemy has 3 lives, and for every time your enemy gets down, they evolve to be much stronger than the previous form. This creates a feeling of difficulty, and beating it creates this amplified source of satisfaction, at least from my experience. Just like the past events, Arsenal decided to absolutely cook up and make an absolute heck of a mission. This was an escape mission continuing from the Hunt First Edition event. Stealthily killing the guarding bots and progressing your way through it is absolutely a blast. The part where you get caught by a guard was really funny. It feels like the mission abruptly ends, however, after escaping the jail cell. I believe there should have been a little bit more to fulfill the entire mission. Other than that, this was an absolute heck of a badge. If you thought the hunted sub-full was the best they can do and the mega token would be as good as the normal token, then you would be absolutely wrong. First, you had to find 4 papers to make a passcode around the map to unlock a hidden lock to get the decoder. Then you decode these 5 radios throughout the subfloor and you get a different code that you enter before the end of the subfloor. Then you go to subway to the vault. The vault is similar to the hunted subfloor in some ways, keeping the same 3 entities. However, this time you have to collect the mega token shards because the announcer says why not. And as you collect more shards, things get harder, whether it's how you need to get oxygen from oxygen tanks to survive, or it's the lava pile on the floor that you must avoid. This just made the entire process much more difficult, memorable, and even more enjoyable. Oh yeah, did I mention that you have to do it in 10 minutes or else you die? By the time I collected the last mega token shard, both me and my friend were absolutely stressed out after experiencing such a grand trial. Overall, playing the hunted subfloor as well as the vault subfloor back to back was an insanely memorable experience. After you do some shenanigans in the Arsenal mission, you get to basically play Block Tales, but in the Arsenal universe. You get to play as a team of 3 characters, all with unique playstyles, while keeping my beloved turn-based combat. Sadly, there was no blocking or dodging the attacks, at least from my experience. However, the fact that I got to basically play Block Tales in the Hunt Mega Edition, it was a joy to play through. But only one badge could beat this heck of a mega token. They absolutely decided to cook similar to the Arsenal mission. Similar to it, you also try to escape, in this case, a maximum security prison. The cutscenes were absolutely peak as well, showcasing everything that happened while you were in control. Although going past the section where there was a lot of security was a bit difficult, afterwards there was close to no difficulty. There you have to use your brain to calculate where you have to go to get to the destination that you want to go to. At one point, you have to do this puzzle where you click the buttons to try to get all 6 generators to be active. After getting the mega token and kicking Guy off the token, you go through an insane chase scene and finish it off after teleporting back to the real dimension and watching the credits. Everything, when I mean everything was polished to its maximum, and it felt like you were actually in it. Like, there was even a bit of voice acting as well as keeping the same avatar from the main game, including skins as the main protagonist. I mean, this quest was probably the least guide needed mega token as well, just requiring you to go to the portal at first and complete the guided mission afterwards. It was an absolute joy going to a quest to find the mega token. I believe it deserves its gold crown despite being a first time participant. I mean, that's the tier list. This is where I would place every game from an S rank all the way to a G rank. Like, although there were some absolute bangers in this event, such as the Untitled Tag Game and Arsenal Mega Tokens, the fact that the Mega Tokens had to be done in such an order, where the best Mega Tokens go first, and then there were 1 or 2 bangers near the middle, while the rest were just either pretty cool Mega Tokens or torture chambers, it kind of ruined it all. The normal tokens just took about 2 or 3 days, so those badges got quickly overridden by the Mega Tokens, as we spent a lot more time on that. Before I cut the video, I want to do some shenanigans related to ranking. First, here are the games that mathematically did the best on average, including the normal and Mega Tokens. I mean, I'm not surprised that Arsenal performed the best out of any game. It always has when it participated in these events. But the fact that only 5 games had a higher average than the Roblox The Hunt lobby posted both as a good and a bad thing. The good thing is that Roblox is learning well as they release these events one after the next, improving their lobby in their Roblox event process. The bad thing is that the selections of games is still a bit questionable. Although many games that had a lower average in Roblox The Hunt lobby still did a great job, such as Untitled Tag Game and Basketball Legends, there were still many quite lackluster games who didn't put much effort into their tokens. They are coming back event after event. Overall, I think this event had a major impact on both us and Roblox. With this event, I feel like we, the audience, see the drastic increase in quality of this event as compared to the previous event, and Roblox learns from every experiment they put out every few months to the public. I believe that these experiments will be put into real good use one day in one of the events and make a flawless, spectacular Roblox event in the future. It could be the next event or the one after, we'll never know. Until then, honestly, after ranking all these events, although the downsides were really visible and sort of corrupted the upsides, I feel like this was one of the best modern Roblox events thus far. But I still prefer the first edition, the classic, in my opinion. Hot take, I know. Roast me as well as my interesting rankings in the comments. But that's all for this video. Until next time, peace. Hi, President Me here. I know, this is a bit outdated. I recorded on Memorial Day weekend, so also my bad, I haven't posted for the past 2 weeks. This is the big project I've been working on. I might have spent more time in this project than in Blog Tales perhaps, but yeah. Sadly, the next event isn't looking too good. The hatch looks like it's taking the wrong turn. But I guess it's just another experiment. Anyways, if you made it here, thank you so much for watching all of this video. It was a long one, I have to admit. I don't like begging for subscribers, but I'm a young channel, so I would be very pleased if you like, subscribe, and share my content. Every subscriber is very special to me, and when I see the count boost up by 1, I always celebrate myself, so don't think I'll just forget about this new subscription. Anyways, that's all for this video. Until next time, peace. And also here's some bloopers because the script was way too long. Many of the games such as Untitled Tag Game, Regretivator, Natural Disaster, Survival, you can tell that the developers of said game spent all their time on the Mega Token. This will be based on my personal experiences, so it will probably be different from yours, so don't take it personally. Afterwards, you have to click the random relic pieces in order to spell out Gunter. This, however, was just a series of random events. First, you have 3 people by spawning in items to help with their issue. I mean, they sorta guide you with the first section. You had to re-get all the numbers, which was at least double the time of a normal speedrun of this obby. A couple of minutes. It took me a while to realize this as I was watching a guide, which posed a key difference for me. Playing and crushing the AI with friends made it feel a lot more like basketball. Passing the basketball and shooting great shots right after being passed that.